Hello, my name is Krishna Gupta, and I will be giving you a demo on cloud computing, microservices in cloud computing, and Kubernetes. This is the part of my cloud computing experiential learning. I'll be making uh, some videos along with my teammate Atul Kumar, and we will be putting that onto YouTube. So our agenda will be first cloud computing, then we'll go on to learn about microservices in cloud computing, and then we will learn about Kubernetes. So before giving an introduction about cloud computing, I want to tell you more about the history of cloud computing. So the term was coined by a person known as JCR Licklider, and uh, he wanted and he gave an idea of interconnected global computer network in which the different computers can share the resources, can pass messages, and communicate with each other. Then over the years, IBM and then Salesforce and then Amazon were the leaders in cloud computing, followed by Google and Microsoft Azure. So now we are in a world in which the cloud computing exists and we can't live without it because all of the services, all of the applications which are present over the internet are based around cloud computing. So what is the definition of cloud computing? So cloud computing is the delivery of computing services over the internet, which is commonly known as the cloud, including storage, processing, power, and networking. So basically what it means is that over the internet, we can share the different computing services. The services can be platform, the services can be infrastructure, and the services can be software as well. So what are the key characteristics of cloud computing? So on-demand self-service. So without the intervention of any human, we can get the resources from the cloud, broad network access. So if we have internet connectivity, we can get those resources from anywhere using our mobile devices or our other computing devices. Resource pooling. Like now multiple users can pool their computing resources together. So then we can meet a high demand. Rapid elasticity. So depending on your application need, the resources will be scaled up or scaled down depending upon the traffic in your application. Measure device. So each and every utility in the cloud is measured and we have to pay for what we have used. So this was a introduction about cloud computing and the key characteristics of cloud computing. Next, we will move on to the different cloud computing services. So in cloud computing, we have three different service models: infrastructure as a service, in which we are provided with different resources, computing resources over the internet. For example, Amazon provides a service known as Elastic Cloud Compute, in which we can perform computing on our data in a batch processing manner. Other example include Google Compute Engine. Then the next service model is platform as a service, in which we can develop, run, and manage applications. Now, one of the good example is Google App Engine, in which there is a marketplace for the different applications, and users can also log in and make their own apps, and then they can deploy it also. They can also view the statistics on that applications. The next service model is software as a service. So here on a subscription basis, the users or a community can take the use of the software which is provided by the cloud providers and they can get the use out of it. For example, Microsoft Office 365. So now we don't need to have all of these software services downloaded on our local uh, node, but we can directly log in into Microsoft Office 365 and we can get the use of Microsoft Excel, Microsoft PowerPoint, Docs, Access, etc. So this was the introduction about the service models in the cloud computing. Now, what is the benefit of cloud computing? So we may be asking, we can perform anything on our local device. What is the need of cloud computing? So here we can answer to the question, why is the need for cloud computing? First of all, cost efficiency. like you are building an application and you need this much of storage resource, this much of computing resource, and other things. So if you are building everything on your own, you have to pay the upfront architecture cost. But if you are using the services provided by the cloud providers, the you don't have to pay the upfront architecture cost. You can only pay the expenses for what you are using given by that cloud provider. Scalability. Now you have made one application and using cloud computing. So now, after some time, more people will be coming onto your application. So now, based on the need, based on the traffic on your application, you can easily scale up and scale down the resources. Accessibility. Any user can access the data and applications from anywhere, given they have a stable internet connectivity. Disaster recovery. So now, if our server fails, we have a replica of the server. And in there, we'll be having many containers, we'll be having many pods, we'll be having many nodes. So they will be replicated. So even if one of the node fails, we can easily plug into a different node and will not be facing any failure, will not be facing any disaster, and our application will still be running. Automatic updates. If we are having a software on our local node, uh, it will be of a fixed version. But if we are using those resources from a cloud provider, it will be automatically updated and will be gaining uh, only the updates. Now, moving on to our main topic, which is microservices and cloud computing. So, uh, actually, if we go on to the history of microservices, we can get to know that in past we used to make monolithic services in which the whole code was written into a single file. So in that way, the file was becoming very bulky, and there were many problems associated with the programming style, which is the monolithic. But now, if we are shifting to microservices, we can structure our application in such a way that we can divide into several services, several different small services, which are independent from each other. For example, if you are having any application, for example, a streaming service, the billing service is a different microservice. The recommendation servicing is a different microservice, and analytics service is a different microservice. So this is a common example in the microservice in cloud computing. Now coming on to the key characteristics of microservices, independently deployable. So as I told you, an application is made up of a collection of small independent services. All of these services are independent from each other, and these services can be deployed individually also, loosely coupled. So as an application is made up of multiple services, all of these services are loosely coupled to each other. What does loosely mean here? It means that the different services can be managed separately, and then we can develop it, we can integrate the different components into it separately, and it can be deployed individually also. Technologically agnostic. So the different microservices in an application are technologically agnostic, which means that the developers or the team members can use different technologies and programming languages to develop that particular microservice in that application. So this was the basic introduction about the microservices and cloud computing. What are the benefits of microservices in the cloud? Scalability. Now, if we are having multiple individual components rather than one entire application, we can easily scale our application. Flexibility. We can use different technologies for different services so that we do not go fault due to common mode failures. Resilience. Like if we are having different microservices, even if one service fails, the other services will be working and the users will not be facing any downtime. Faster time to market. As the common principle in developing any software is continuous integration and continuous deployment, CI/CD. So we can easily and fastly make our product and we can deliver it to the market. Now we'll learn about the different examples in microservices cloud. As I've already told you one example of the streaming service, we'll go on to further. Authentication service. So for this helps to authorize and authenticate the users which are logging into any application which you have built. So we can use Auth0 or Auth0, AWS Cognito, and Okta for this authentication service purpose. Then we are having payment service. Like if you are building any e-commerce platform, we need a payment service for performing transactions, for integrating our application with the payment gateways for payment processing. So we can use Stripe, PayPal, API, and Square for this purpose. Notification service. Now we can easily send notifications via email, SMS, or push notifications. That can be done using Twilio, Amazon SNS, SendGrid. Amazon SNS stands for Amazon Simple Notification Service, which is the most widely used notification service, which is provided by the AWS services. Inventory service. So suppose if you are having any manufacturing department in your company or organization, you can easily manage the stock updates, you can easily manage the product details, you can easily manage the inventory levels in your organization. This can be done using AWS Lambda. They provide custom implementations and you can customize it according to your organization need. They also provide Azure functions. Search service. So will be has, suppose if you are building an e-commerce platform, we want to filter the products depending upon the user requirement. So it can be also done and it provides several search capabilities for the data documents or the any categories which are loaded into your platform. So Elasticsearch, Algolia, AWS Cloud Search are the few examples of the search service. Okay. Thank you. In the next video, I'll be telling you more about what is Kubernetes. This was our introductory lesson into microservices in cloud computing. Next, we'll move on to Kubernetes. What is Kubernetes used for? What are the key concepts in use for? I will also give you one real life case study on Kubernetes, and then we'll move on to the working and the example workflow for Kubernetes also. Thank you.